not ever.
Let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom.
No forced redundancies.
You sit down, Wilfred. You sit down.
If you like what you hear, you can show us some love too. Follow our socials on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok and YouTube, and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on right now. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in again. This episode of the podcast, we've got not just our one usual senator, but two senators. We're very fortunate. We have our Queensland Senator, Corinne Mulholland, my co-host, and Senator Charlotte Walker from South Australia. Welcome, Charlotte. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Now you've brought your sandwich. You understood the brief?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So I've got a caprese sandwich. I'll just get that. Yes. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. I've heard of a caprese salad.
Isn't a caprese a car?
Maybe I'm saying it. Maybe I've just been
Pair of pants.
Maybe I've just been saying it wrong this whole time.
Oh my goodness. Can you show the camera that, please?
The little thing.
Oh, that is good.
So you've got mozzarella, and there's there's tomatoes in this one, and usually some basil, some greens of some sort.
Roughage?
Yeah.
Nice.
Big fan.
And how did you come to like the caprese?
Well, I've always been a cheese lover.
Right.
So growing up, I would, when you have bolognese and you put cheese on top, I found myself always having mouthfuls of just cheese.
Yeah.
And those cheese sticks as well, the peel ones.
I'm familiar.
Yeah. I wouldn't peel with them, I just eat the whole thing.
Wouldn't do the stringy thing?
Nah.
What about
I don't have the
the
patience
cheeseless
for that.
snack? Did you have the little snack?
I did have those, but that cheese didn't taste like cheese.
Like cheese
It's
spread.
Yeah.
Do you want to have some of your sandwich?
Yeah. Does someone else want to?
You jump
I'll
in,
have
Stephen.
that. It might kill Corinne.
Go for it. Go for it. All right, what are we thinking?
It's got a good mozzarella ratio. Sometimes they don't put much in, and it's really disappointing. So
It'd be really nice warm, I reckon. Straight off the toaster. Quite good.
What's the golden ratio of mozzarella?
It's like half.
half. You need half mozzarella, 25% tomato, rest, rocket or basil. This is pretty good, yeah.
Now we'll start asking you questions with a mouthful of food.
Okay, you can finish that later. Remember that?
I could just keep eating.
And you like to cook at Parliament House, I've heard?
So when you're in Parliament, it's pretty easy to get into these habits of just... Are you allowed to swear on this podcast?
You sure can.
You just get into habits of eating shit food, especially when you're running in between meetings all day. You often don't leave time to actually eat, so you just end up buying food. So me and my staff came together. We brought over some from South Australia, some we went and brought in Canberra. We've got all these kitchen appliances. Right. And beginning of a sitting week, we go and do a food shop.
So talk us through, what are you making? Because I've never been invited. I've never been invited to Senator Walker's.
We don't invite people. It's really exclusive. Yeah.
Is this a state thing or sub-factional thing?
It
Or
could be.
Nah,
I think it's just
no one.
It's just a non-sharing thing. But talk us through what's on the menu for the week. What are you making? How are you making it?
Yeah. So as in your most versatile piece of equipment, you've got your air fryer. You can do a lot in an air fryer. So we're doing all sorts. So we do skewers, we'll roast potatoes. You can get these little, it doesn't look very good, but you these little plastic packets of meat and sauce, and you can make a little bowl in the air fryer and put it in. So you can do all sorts. You can roast all your vegetables. We do lots of salads as well. Lots of chicken, we'll often cook chicken breast, and then you can make it into sandwiches or salads we do lots. Yeah.
Well, I think you need to bring this cooking together with your content. Cooking with Charlotte, Instagram content.
That's a good idea. And I can do mukbangs.
Yes.
You guys know what mukbangs are, yeah?
What's that?
Do you know what it is?
South
It's
Australian
it's a video where you just eat, and usually there's a big microphone right in front of you, because some people really like watching other people eat, and they like listening to the noises.
Sounds like my
So often
nightmare.
they've got a mic clipped here and they're slopping on some noodles.
We've really gone down
Something
there.
for everyone, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's not just your cooking show, Charlotte. You also you play video games. This is a thing amongst younger folk, I guess.
Yeah. I've always played games. So when I was like 9, 10 years old, I started playing Minecraft.
Yeah.
I've played it ever since then. And then when I got elected, I was like, why stop now?
Yeah.
And during my campaign, I did this video. We were doing, 5% deposits, and we did this comparison video of like housing under Dutton versus housing under a Labor government. And then during the Dutton segment, it was just like this shitty dirt shack. And then we went to the Labor section, and it was like beautiful houses everywhere, and it did really well. So we sort of just ran with it.
Do you play against other people? Because I've seen you with the headset and the mic on, and not this way, but this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you playing against other people?
So usually I don't play, not against other, like I'll play with friends. Like we're not against each other. We're like, we'll go in like a world together and just do whatever. But sometimes I go online and compete. But I don't like competition like that. It scares me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like running for the Senate?
Yeah, no, that was fine. Minecraft, no.
But we'll talk about that, about running for the Senate. So you were 20, not yet 21.
Yeah, I got pre-selected when I was 20. I only turned 21 on election day, so...
Oh, wow, that's a big day.
It's a good birthday present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a free party.
Yeah. Well, see, I wanted to, have a fun night, but because of what happened with the results, I was...
Yeah, people were like,
They're like, no. I had people keeping an eye on me.
Have another Coke Zero, have another fridge cigarette.
Well, there was media all in the room, so it's just risky.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so you talk us through how you got pre-selected, how that all happened, because that's lots of people who listen to this show want to know how people end up in the positions that they end up in. So talk us through how you got pre-selected and what that was like.
Well, I only joined Labor when I was 18. So I feel like, a lot of people join younger than that. So I was fairly late to the game. But I...
20, you're really...
You're in the Senate.
I joined because I got a job for my local state MP, and so got involved in the party a little bit. But I sort of really, really got involved when I got a job at the Australian Services Union in South Australia. And then straight after that, I became president of Young Labor in South Australia.
You don't muck around.
No, and it's heaps of fun. As in the role, it depends on the state, but you get to chair the meetings, and they can get really rowdy. So it's actually a lot of fun. But that happened, and then we needed someone to run in Senate 3. Which we have won before. Everyone says that, there was no way we were going to win it, but we have won it before.
They were wrong.
And, I think they wanted to run a young person. So I was already president of Young Labor, so I was sort of already there. But also because I worked at the union, I had them supporting me through, as in being a candidate is, a time commitment. So... that's sort of just how it happened, but it was pretty late. I got pre-selected in March, so I was only campaigning for like 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And what was campaigning for the Senate like?
Well, it depended on the day. Like, we had some marginal seats in South Australia, so I spent a fair bit of time on those campaigns. But the Senate would also do their own stuff together. Like, we had a dedicated Senate campaign in South Australia where all the officers worked together. So we'd often, there was door knocking and there was wobble boarding, and we'd do stuff on social media together as well. But I think obviously we were focusing on our marginal seats. Like, we've got Boothby in South Australia, which... we had about, I think it was a 7% swing our way, so all worth it. But yeah, certainly a whirlwind. I remember when I was asked and I heard those words, it didn't even feel real. Like, that was the last thing I was expecting. So it was.
And did you know on the night? Were they starting to call it for you on the night?
They weren't going to call. They didn't call it on the night. It said, like, it depended where you looked. If you looked on, like, the ABC results, it said likely, but it also said that in, like, New South Wales and WA, and then we ended up not getting the third. So I think we were all holding our breath until the declaration. It was about 4 or 5 weeks after the...
So you had to go through that whole process of...
not knowing, because we had to wait for preferences, so there was a chance that it could just...
swing the other way.
Yeah. But it ended up working out all right, I guess.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, well done.
When people ask me how you get involved in politics, there's no clear like Corinne and I had to street fight for years, run and lose.
And sometimes against each other.
And then sometimes,
Yeah.
you know.
But it's
really
there's
vary.
a central theme of having a crack. And I think
You have to just put your hand up.
and showing up the first time, getting involved, getting involved in local members' office, joining Labor, volunteering. It's actually having a crack over and over again is kind of the
Someone
central.
said to me, you don't get to choose when the bus stops, just whether you get on it.
This is true.
So yeah, I took the opportunity, and I wasn't even thinking about whether or not I was going to win. It wasn't a factor. I just wanted to do it because I really love the ALP, and an opportunity like that, I just knew if I'd said no, I would regret it for the rest of my life probably.
We did a Senate road trip here in Queensland.
Oh, yeah?
On some of our senators, and we went up from Brisbane, drove the Bruce Highway up to Rockhampton, and we did the same to Townsville down to Mackay. And on the road trip, we were like, if you're in America, the Vice President and the President aren't allowed to travel on the same plane together.
Yeah.
No one was worried about the senators
No.
in the one. Everyone was like, it's fine, it's safe, it's fine, it's fine. Well, the world will go on.
And are you finding you're able to use the position to be a voice for younger people, encourage younger people to get involved, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's been evident changes. Like I'm still president of Young Labor, and I'm still involved, and we've seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Someone didn't roll you for that? Like, you've got enough positions?
No, well, there's an AGM coming up, so we'll see how that goes. But
You just try and hold on.
as in whether or not, I think there's a consideration of like giving the opportunity to someone else because I'm content truly, but but yeah, we've seen an uptick, like more people coming out. Like the Young Left in South Australia, like more people coming out. Yeah. I think that's people now they can see someone like them in Parliament. It's like, wow, I really want to get involved.
That's great.
So.
And you should have seen, speaking of the Young Left and young people coming and getting involved, there were a stack of them in the gallery for your first speech.
Yeah, we had a big contingent come over. It was like 50, I think, which was pretty hectic. Yeah.
It was impressive to watch. And your first speech was delivered a little while after some of the other first speeches.
Yeah, I was like nearly at the end.
Nearly at the end, but it was definitely worth the wait.
Yeah.
We heard a story about a kitten.
Oh, have you heard the story?
No, tell me about the kitten.
So how many years? This was like 4 years ago, maybe 5. I grew up in like the regions out of the city, so stuff just happens out there that wouldn't happen in the city. Anyway, so one of my friends, she like picked up this kitten on the side of these kittens that had been abandoned on the side of the road, which is a thing that happens, like very believable. And then she needed to do something with them, and I was like, I want a cat, but my mum would never say yes to this. So I took the kitten and her story and went to Mum, and I said, Mum, I found this kitten on the side of the road. Like, we've got to take this kitten in. And then she, with all of her compassion, was like, yes, absolutely. So now we kept the cat, which unfortunately passed away from a snake bite a couple of years ago. But I was trying to think of a time to tell Mum that the whole story was a lie. And I thought, why not in your first speech? And then when I said it, I looked up at her face in the gallery and she was dying. She wasn't angry at all, but yeah, definitely worth it.
It was memorable. Yeah. It was certainly a memorable part of the speech. We were all cracking it up in the Senate chamber. And I think that's, for being in the chamber, I sit just in front of you, and you sit to the left of Glenn Stirl, who's been in for 20 years.
Yeah. So much fun sitting next to him, though.
And he is entertainment on steroids.
He says so much he shouldn't say.
He is the most inappropriate
it's
interjector.
Just hilarious.
And gets away with it because it's funny.
Sounds like we need to put him on your list of...
You should get him on.
Exactly,
podcast
to bring him on. He's a former truck driver.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a
good bloke, though. Like, whenever he comes in, like, we go to the whip's office is right near the chamber, and there's a big bowl of chocolates, so often we'll go in and get a chocolate on our way to a vote. But for the first few weeks, he would come in with his chocolates, he would stand up, would not even look at me, slap the chocolate down, and then sit down and just wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't even say, hey, here's a chocolate. He just slapped the chocolate down.
For you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's no nonsense.
That's his way of showing he cares.
There you go.
Yeah, he is no nonsense. So it's interesting that the thought process that went into the new, because they said that they really thought about who they placed next to who and putting sort of, age and youth together and different states and different factions all sort of mixed up. So it is very funny, but...
I can see why they did that now. And now that I've given my first speech, I can interject, so I can get some ideas from Glenn, maybe.
Because you're not allowed to interject under this.
Because if you do, it can be, counted as your first speech.
Yes.
I think they'd still give you the opportunity to get up and give a speech, but not good.
No.
We had a similar thing here because so many of us were new in the first term of our government. We had to speak on the confidence motion, and then that's still my official first speech, even though I gave
a maiden later.
Oh.
So people now that when researching or whatever, say that first speech was a bit weird, like, very political. I was like, yeah, well.
Yeah.
Because your first speech was the Governor General.
I did the address and reply. Which is where, the Governor-General gives the speech written by the Prime Minister, and then we all get up and we're like, yes, Labor government was so good. But I got to move the address and reply, which is pretty cool.
Oh,
I gave 7, 8 speeches before my first speech. So it kind of worn off by then.
And that was that day was one of the wildest days ever, the opening of Parliament. So the Senate is where it all happens. So I know it's very rare to say a statement like that, so I really hang on to this
Nobody
day.
believes you,
The
Corinne.
Prime Minister and the lower house reps come into the Senate, as does the Governor-General, and gives their address. And so they all squish into the same chamber. So we all squish into the same seats. Right. They're all sitting with us in the chamber.
We didn't fit.
No.
We had our lower house MPs having to go and sit on the opposition side because there were so many of us. There's like 120.
Yeah, right.
And all squish in with us.
And that tradition dates back to the king or queen not being allowed to go to the House of Commons.
It does. They're not allowed in there. So they all have to come to us.
One
and then
time
they go
one
back.
of them got killed in the House of Commons or something, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's not allowed to go in there. No. And then there were so many first speeches happening that we were running in between each side. Because the Senate goes a bit crazy and there's lots of votes on, we were over trying to watch as many of the first speeches from people like Ailey France and some of the new members, but we'd have to run back from the House to the Senate.
So I think one of the things that all three of us are trying to do is find new ways to engage people who might not be already thinking about politics or interested in politics. The podcast is one of those ideas when trying out. Do you have any thoughts on where people are at and what we can do? Gaming is obviously one of them.
Yeah, I think it's about trying to, as in, if we're just going to talk about young people, I think it's about trying to meet them where they are in terms of engagement, especially with social media. So something that might resonate with older demographics, like an info sheet on a policy, isn't probably going to cut across the same way as, finding a way to make Minecraft interact with policy. Yeah. So I think if in terms of the algorithm, it's about generating content that is going to appear on a young person's algorithm. Yeah. In terms of, so for young people might be more engaged with playing games, if we can do a Minecraft video on housing policy, there's a higher likelihood that that's going to come up for them as engaged as opposed to, something more traditional. Mm-hmm. I think it's also just about trying new things out and, it's not always going to work. I think this happens in offices. You come up with ideas of funny content ideas and then, you film it and it's we're not posting that. That's terrible.
That didn't work.
No, but I think it's just about trying to find new ways. But I also think if we want young people to be more engaged, we just need to have more young people in politics. Yep. I feel like a lot of young people have felt like, well, I'm not engaged in this because I don't feel like they're making decisions for me, or I don't see someone like me in there, so I feel like they don't have my best interests at heart. So I think that's probably a direct way to change it. I've heard I've spoken to a lot of young people that have said just seeing you in the Parliament has given me a lot more hope for my future. Great. And just knowing that there's someone in there that is living through, I think, and as a government, we are always trying to take young people along with us and consult, but I think having a young person in there is, a different approach that really works. So.
It's sort of a missing perspective too, right? And I know you get a lot of hate from people on social media who say, what would you know? And,
Every day.
Just out of nappies and all sorts of mean things that they've
thanks,
said.
Pauline, for that line.
All these mean things that they say to you. What would you
She's
know?
Nelly in nappies.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. She's closer. Some would say she might be closer. She might be closer to them. But in reality, you do get a lot of hate from people and about not being experienced enough or not having, enough life, not having a life experience. But you have an experience. You have an experience of a young person.
Yeah, and I also think our parliament's better off when we've got people and experiences that reflect our society.
Yep.
So, as in young people are making up a bigger proportion of voters than ever before, so...
And it's interesting. One thing Charlotte does a lot of at Parliament House is talking to young school children as they come through.
That is the best bit of the job, isn't it?
And it is. And it doesn't matter where they're from. Charlotte will spot them in
the
gallery, and she'll jump over things.
I'm ringing my office and I'm like, I'm going to be late to this meeting. I'm going to talk to these school kids.
And quite interesting because I went up with her the other day, and it was the day that we had all of the stuff going on about the weekend protest marches, and there was a school from Epping in New South Wales, and it was a really multicultural school. Lots of children from various Asian backgrounds were there, and they were watching what was a really racially charged debate going on in our Senate.
Yeah.
And the teachers said, actually, we're like, oh, have you been listening? What's going on? No, actually, we turned the volume off. We didn't want them to hear that, and that was one of those. That was one of those moments where I went, geez, yeah.
As a teacher's probably got a point. Obviously children, it's beneficial when they listen to what's going on in our parliament, but some of that was really hurtful, what was being said. So...
And the way that those kids reacted to Charlotte being there, and, they were so excited to see you, and... you're so close in age to them that they saw, a little bit of themselves in you. And I thought just watching that interaction was really nice.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll gauge how old the kids are, and they're usually 12 or 13. I'll be like, so in 8 years, this, or younger, this could be you. I try and give them that insight that you might not be as far off something like this as you think. But as in talking to schools is one of my favourite things. I find that it depends on the age group. Sometimes you get middle schoolers. I find it can be hard to engage them on tours sometimes, but often we'll move into the bigger foyer, and then all of the girls are really, as in girls especially, I think really look up to a young person that's also a woman. So as in school tours is probably one of my favourite parts. I absolutely love it.
It's a great part of the job.
And I think just realising that often people, especially from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, they don't get to meet politicians, and they feel they're sort of sometimes disconnected from their elected representatives. So I'm trying to bridge that gap. It shouldn't be special and cool to meet your local member or that. They should just be there.
Yeah. Well, I love the school tours. One of my favourite things to do is sometimes you'll get people come up to the doors of Parliament trying to work out how to get in, and there's no tours on, and I'll say, I'll take you, and sign them in, and we do this lightning tour of the building. It's really cool.
We don't have that in Federal Parliament. It's way too big.
Yeah. It is
huge.
It is a big building.
How many steps do you do a day?
Usually anywhere between 16,000 and 18,000 a day. Yeah. So we always sneakers.
Yeah.
Heels are out.
Heels are out, sneakers are in. So we're all for the comfort.
So I tell Polly. She's a champ. She wears heels.
She still rocks the heels. But because we have, as Charlotte said, 30 divisions a day. So you've got 4 minutes to get there, and you want to be on time. Yeah. And you also want to be comfortable. So
yeah, as in long days, you don't want to be there in your heels all day.
Yeah, heels are out, sneakers are in.
Well, we're debating about whether to increase our divisions from 4 minutes to 5 minutes. Okay. We had a few people trip and fall. Hurt themselves.
Yeah, that has happened in Federal Parliament. I know somebody fell. I think it was Justine Elliott fell coming down a flight of stairs, and Scotty Buckholtz actually caught her. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, you got to be careful. And some of the mums. So I'm on the bottom level because often get a baby in a pram and different things from time to time. So
they put me on. I'm not on the bottom.
Yeah, you're nimble, not like me.
I'm actually right next to the chamber though. So
you are. Very close.
They can probably put me further out.
So one of the biggest issues I hear from young people is just this despair that they might never be able to buy a house, and that maybe they've been saving for a deposit and the price of the house keeps going up faster than you can even save at the deposit.
And yet then your wages haven't been growing either.
That's right.
So yeah, so 5% deposits, really exciting. As in, what I've heard is that, you know, some people, they are actually able to make mortgage repayments. They just can't manage to save enough for the down
20%.
payment. So it's going to make a massive difference, genuinely.
Well, so Brisbane outstripped Melbourne as the second most expensive capital city in Australia, and the median price, so the majority of people, what they're paying for a property is like $980,000. And so if you think about 20% of that,
It's 200 grand.
Yeah, it's 200 grand.
Which is like impossible.
So to take that, to chop that and have a quarter of that, you know, $50,000 versus $200,000. If you put it in sort of those terms, I think that's so much more achievable for people to get to that. I have, you know, we've put a couple of things up on my social media, and you get a little bit of hate from people saying, it's going to put up the price of a property. That there's absolutely no modelling to show that.
No.
It's ridiculous. It's just about people's ability to actually buy the property. And also the thing that we're not talking enough about is that people will not have to pay lenders mortgage insurance, which is basically a tax on poor people who don't have generational wealth in their bank accounts. So to get rid of that, which is, you know, just a bit of
30 grand or more.
30 grand as well added to the loan. So to get rid of that sort of tax that people are being paying because they don't come from generational wealth is, I think, a really important thing that we've been doing. And also there was a bit of reform that was delivered around stopping the banks from using HEX debt as bad debt when you're going for a home loan as well. So they can't consider your 30, 40, or sometimes $100,000 worth of debt for HEX as bad debt. So
it's been cut by 20% as well.
It has. It has an average of $5,000 or $6,000 less now. So all of that hopefully coming together to make it easier for people to get into a home.
Yeah.
It's definitely been right. As in, I touched on it in my first speech, but I think a lot of young people just sort of gave up on the fact that they just thought they'd never buy a home. They're just going to rent forever. If you can even get a rental, which is a miracle in itself. I don't know what the market's like up here, but in Adelaide it's pretty shocking. Yeah. So it's hard. But there's hope. We will get there. As in, this is what happens when you've had a decade of inaction from the Libs. So.
Yeah, it just shows government can make a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. And it's good when state and federal governments work together as well. Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for having me. It's pretty hot.
Thanks for
I'm
coming out.
sweating massively.
Thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
It's been good.
Thanks
But yeah,
so much.
the sweat's insane. I don't know how you guys... It'd be hard going to Canberra, like hot, cold, like... Do you get sick?
It's not so much the sick. It's just that you're. It's either very, very cold. It's cold for us in Canberra.
Yeah.
It's way colder.
Totally. Do you remember when I got sick?
Yes, you were sent home.
Well, I was told that unless you're bedridden, you have to stay. So I was like,
No one
let's
tells you
go.
how to get a pair, especially in the Senate, because it's wild.
We Senate caucus, Penny and Katie were eyeing me because I was like falling asleep. They were like, this girl needs to go.
Get this girl's in
She
bed
needs to
rest.
go home.
Not now, not ever.
Let there be 1,000 blossoms blooming.
No forced redundancies.
You sit down, perfect. You sit down.
So we had blue-green algae in Moreton Bay in, early 90s? And it actually triggered a big clean-up of our sewage treatment and our upper catchment.
How did you even do that?
Talking because
Look at the
Jim
replay
Solly
of
was
this.
the Lord Mayor.
Yeah, he was.
So I'm not paying attention because I'm doing all the talking. It's just a ploy to get me to lose.
Yeah.
Trying to win.
I did win.
And Corinne, you're in on it as well, asking me all these questions.